We have Ball Senior, Josh.
Happy to be here, man.
What's your last name?
Allison, Josh Allison. Yeah.
Okay. And it's Donna, Kessler, and me. And this is our big, the biggest one so far, we should say, right?
Talking rides coast to coast.
Yes. And Donna, will you tell us a little bit about what you do aside from this?
I write a feature in the Times Herald Record called My Ride, and it has everything to do with cars and motorcycles and the culture they're in.
Awesome.
I didn't know it was about cars. That's interesting.
Because
I thought it was all motorcycles. Yeah.
No.
Oh, I know.
Like
you know what I mean?
racing
you would
and
think
Singer in a rock and roll band.
anything with a motor and wheels.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. That's the culture these days. Cars and bikes, it's
Yeah.
fun, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
most people that have one have the other.
It goes hand in
Yeah.
hand. The
Yeah.
shows
It does
now,
go hand in
you know, it's very connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my first question is, why are you so horrible at fishing? Let's get that out of the way now.
Oh,
The
he's
reason why he's doing it is because I took money out of his pocket. Because we had a
In
bet.
all fairness, I was using a fly rod, so you know. Open the door here.
Yeah, you're sweating.
Oh, too much coffee.
Here I am sitting with a sweat jacket on.
So go ahead. You start the show.
What do you mean horrible? He's not a horrible fisherman.
Yes, he is. He lies. He cheats.
You know what? I one time I was really good at fishing. Okay. Now it's like I love fishing, but I'm not. You know, like I have ponds stocked with so much fish. It gets. You know how boring it is not to catch a fish.
You throw it in there and then, yeah.
But
yeah.
where my ponds is, you got to try and pull it out of their mouth. You got to try not to catch a fish.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Huge ones.
Yeah, I caught a catfish at your pond on a
Yeah.
chatterbait,
It's huge.
like on a
They're
spinnerbait.
huge.
I was
Yeah.
like,
We tried to pull a monster out of there. Me and Ryan were freaking out and it broke the line twice. But, dude, it was...
It's big
No,
fish.
see, if I don't catch a fish at one pond, I move to another pond.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah, she took me ice fishing this year for the
Did
first
you?
time. Yeah. Well, we had Nick with us too. So
Yeah.
it was,
There's actually, because I had a shop in Pine Island Turnpike, on Pine Island Turnpike,
Yeah.
which is not too far from here, right?
it's close, yeah. And that was, like I said, one of the first rumors. Like Paul Senior had it. I was like, oh Jesus, another. You know, it's like so many stories about, you know.
Yeah.
So
But there's a lot of places to fish around here.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of nice ponds and stuff.
Oh, yeah. As long as you know where to go. And
But,
get your fishing license and pay attention to the DEC.
Me, I'm good. I have mine. I don't
They ever visit you? They ever?
No, not really. I never got bothered. But you know, my problem is I'm in PA, so I get New Jersey, PA, and New York, and I'll just grab one license. But I guess in PA they'll take your polls. They'll like really
Oh,
give you a hard
yeah.
time if you don't have your license.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
drinking and fishing goes good together. That's when I started my career.
Is that how you got started?
Yeah.
That's probably why you thought you're such a
Yeah.
good fisherman.
Yeah.
That's where all the
Just
fish stories
boots
come
coming
from.
out. Yeah.
Like you're always sitting in a bar talking about when you're going to go fishing the next
Yeah.
day, and then the next day you're still sitting in the same seat,
Yeah,
talking
talk
about
about
going.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're going tomorrow for sure. It's like a month goes by.
Well, you know, it was great when we went. I think the first time we all went out in the same boat. It was me, him, and Nick. So
God,
I'm in
nowhere
the
to
back,
run.
Nick's in the middle, right? And he's up front in this little seat that's just kind of wedged in there. And I think Nick like went right. I told this story before, but I figure I'll get back to it. So Nick goes right and I go left, and the whole boat shimmies and the front seat goes, and he almost goes in the lake. And then I stopped and I'm like, you know how famous I would be if you died in my rowboat? He looks back and son of a bitch. The first time I met him, actually I should say the second time I met him, I think it was
Yeah,
at
you
your
almost
house.
drowned him.
I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, yeah, nice to meet you. I'm like, I've met you like 3 times already. I wanted to push it right to the dock. I'm like, oh, it's Guy.
Don't feel bad. I do that with Josh every once in a while.
What's your name? Yeah.
So what, you just freshwater fish or you saltwater fish?
I did when we went to we filmed down in Florida Tradewinds
Yeah.
Resort, and that was the first time that I actually went out on a deep sea. Well, out on a boat, you know, because I
Yeah,
get
I'm
seasick.
sorry.
But they gave me a patch, and I tell you, it worked.
Did it? I was
Absolutely.
wondering
It
about
worked,
that.
but I've done other stuff, didn't work.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
But that patch worked, man.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was rough. Your boy Nick was actually crying.
I can imagine.
He was crying.
That is the
man.
worst thing to get seasick.
No, there's nothing worse.
Nothing worse.
Nothing worse.
No.
So yeah, I'm mostly Lake.
Yeah, it's striper season.
I'll do that
Striper season.
in the Hudson.
Oh yeah. In fact, I have my striper shirt on. See that?
Oh, that's awesome.
Right, for sure.
So they have them up at the lake where my boat is, well, in Pawpack. They have big
Yeah, you were
stripers.
saying.
Yeah, 20,
Oh,
20
is that
something
where you're
pound.
in?
Yeah, I'm like 20 minutes from Pawpack.
So you're near the Poconos there, like.
Yeah, right in the border. Yeah. So.
Wow. Yeah, I go on the Hudson, and then we'll go to the Cape Cod.
Hmm.
And we'll
What's your
catch-
favorite car?
My favorite car, Nova.
What year?
62,
Oh,
and
okay.
I also like the 69s.
Novas are cool.
Yeah, I'm a bow tie
They were
girl.
fast cars back in my day. They were like the fastest cars on the track.
Hmm. The light. I had one and I sold it. I
Mm.
regret. I had a 66.
That's what I had. I just sold it.
The
to
62 to 66 with a square box,
Mm-hmm.
and in 65 they came out with a 427 in that car, and that fucking thing was.
Oh, it was a rocket ship,
Oh, it was
probably.
like because it
Motor,
weighed
dude.
nothing.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Lot of
they're
race cars
sketchy.
are
They're
Novas.
sketchy little cars.
Oh yeah,
but,
you
know.
can't keep them straight.
Yeah.
But they were
Yeah.
fast.
I'm definitely a bow tie girl.
Yeah. What's your favorite car?
70 GTO.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that right off the
That was
bat.
easy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I've had a lot of GTOs, you know. 64 is kind of my, you know, the first year was a cool car.
Hmm.
But and I like them. I like them all, you know. But I had a 70, and I also had a 69. I mean, for when I was a kid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I had a 70 GTO that I bought right off the showroom floor for $3,500.
Wow.
Brand new.
Crazy.
Isn't
Brand
that
new.
sick? That's
3,500
sick.
bucks.
That's crazy.
Wow.
You know when you look at some of these old cars and they still got the dealer sticker in the
Yeah,
window,
it's
and you're
wild.
like, $2,500. You know, and now they're
Wild.
worth like tenfold.
Oh, forget it.
Yeah, the market,
Untouchable.
man. For a while, the muscle car market was.
Oh, it's
insane.
crazy. Yeah, it was
Insane.
Yeah,
absolutely
but then it
crazy.
went completely
Then it went
down.
to shit. Yeah.
Yeah, but now they're like bringing them back.
Yeah, it seems
You
like
know,
it's
they're
getting
like-
better. Yeah.
Modern, but
Well, the
they're.
economy's changing a little bit, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. The new Mustang they came out with that they unveiled at the New York Auto Show this weekend. Oh my God, it's like 500 horsepower or something more than that, I think.
Yeah,
1,000
probably
horsepower.
more. 7.
Yeah, because I know the last one was 700 horsepower.
Yeah, they've done some crazy ones in the last couple
Oh
of years.
my
The
God.
Hellcats and stuff when they came out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's insane. And then like with the Challenger and the Charger and all them muscle cars are coming back.
Yeah.
I like the fact that like Dodge kept that, like my Dodge with the shaker on it.
Yeah.
I mean they're very similar to.
Yeah, they tried
They
to
looked
keep
a
it.
lot like
Yeah,
that,
didn't
you know
get
what
too
I mean?
modern. Yeah.
Pontiac screwed up when they came out with a GTO later on.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not a good interpretation.
But Camaro did a good job
Yes.
of
Camaro did an excellent job.
Yeah.
What, the newer ones?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we were comparing old to new, you know,
Yeah.
and how Dodge really replicated the old,
Style.
Yeah, style, yeah, muscle car
They
style.
They did a good job, I think,
Charger.
too.
Yeah, for a car that's, so popular, like the Demons and the Hellcats and all, it's
God,
crazy.
Demons.
They're so fast. Not like
Hellcats
the
are
old days.
crazy, man. It's
Yep.
a crazy car.
Yep. A lot of them take them to the tracks because they got the button that you press.
Yeah.
You know, you can make a track or just regular driver, and
It's wild.
yeah.
Hmm.
You into cars? You got?
Yeah, I was telling him I built cars for a really long time. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Hot rods.
Hot rods. I worked at some really nice hot rod shops, and so did a lot of muscle car stuff. But I'm a hot rod guy, man.
Oh,
like
no
I
kidding.
love Mopar, but
Yeah,
if you ask me, my jam it's 32 Roadsters. I've always wanted like a 30-31. I love
Uh-huh.
3 windows.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm a big Ford guy when it comes to that era of
That's
car.
Yeah,
you know?
not rat rod kind of thing. Or
You know, rat rods are cool, man, but
Yeah.
I'm a little on the more, traditional
Fine,
side.
yeah.
And when I worked at Pinky's and the Ford and stuff, we built, world-claess hot rods.
Hmm.
And it's addicting, man. They're
Yeah.
cool. They're fun.
Yeah.
A lot of people that haven't experienced that side of cars, they really fall in love with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is something from a gentleman named Bill Chapman.
Oh yeah, good
So,
old Bill.
Yeah, so he had contacted
Oh,
a
that's
friend
cool
of
as hell, man.
mine, Jordan from Current Creations, and he had him make that for you before he had, I guess before he had
right.
passed. Yeah.
That's
So-
interesting.
And he wanted to get it to you. So because I knew Jordan, I told him, I'd hand it to you. So.
It's an interesting story. So he was on Facebook or something like that. Joni spent time with him
Yeah.
back and forth on Facebook. So got cancer and he was dying, and he was like the hugest fan, huge. So he had a party. I forget where he lived. It was like 3 hours away. I didn't know that. So he was having a party, and can I go? Him not even expecting, not even a prayer that I'd show up. So we drove all the way down there, me and John, and he was having a family party because he was down on his way out, and we showed up there, and he was like, started crying.
Oh,
That's
Awesome. No, that's cool, man.
I'm gonna cry.
Aw.
Awesome, we did it.
But it's I think that
I think that's the best part
It is.
of
It is.
the opportunity
Yes.
with all the shit that comes your way. And it's funny because I've seen you be so nice to people to the point of, like, I don't know if I remember, I think it was the first time we had dinner and we were in the corner of your place, right? And we're sitting there, me, you, Joni, I think, and Nick, and there's just people like this staring. like, and the women would come over, I noticed that. The women would walk over and go, you're going to sign this or take a picture, and the men were like, oh, don't bother them, they're trying to be all quiet and stuff.
But they jump in front of the woman.
Yeah, to get the picture, yeah. So that's, I've seen it firsthand, the best was, you remember when we were out, I think we were in Wickham, and it probably the same day when you almost went into water. And these two guys go by us in like this tiniest little john boat that you've ever seen in your life. It was like they took a john boat, like a bathtub.
Yeah.
It was like two men in a bathtub, right? So they go behind us, and they must have seen him, because
Yeah.
he sleeves, and then they do a U-turn, and they come right in front of us. Like, you would never do that, ever, fishing
No.
anywhere. And they're just like, so it's
It's like
just,
messing in my fishing area.
that must be the toughest spot, to try to always be gracious. And you can never ever have a bad moment.
And always be on point. Always be on
You really
point.
can't.
You
No,
really-
it's,
Like, you can't flip out and call someone an asshole. Wherever
No.
we all can, but you can't,
No.
So,
It's people say, how do you do it? It's a job.
yeah, it is. Comes
It's
with the
what you have to
territory,
do,
right?
you know what I mean? Listen, nobody's 100% loves their job. Most people, there's always a give and a take, no
Always.
matter what
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
No matter what you
Always.
do
Yeah.
in life. So, it's just, that's what it is, And it's like you said, the opportunity to make a difference in somebody's life is what it's all about.
Yeah. And
So,
that's
yeah.
the first thing I say when people
Yeah.
try to talk crap. I'm like, that man has done more than you and every person you know combined,
Yeah.
probably in a year, than you have in your whole life.
But that's what happens.
But yet they
People
don't
always
see that.
the
They don't
bad.
see that. Yeah.
You know,
They always want to see the bad.
They always
That's what
want
we're
to see the
talking about.
negative.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they
so frustrating.
never.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
They don't recognize, if you have a foreclosure in your house or you have bankrupt or whatever life.
And it's a hard
Things
enough
that
thing to
everybody
deal with
deals
without
with
having a
life.
spotlight shined on it. Yeah.
Don't bring up the 42 foundations that we support and the military.
Yeah.
all that.
And
Yeah,
don't,
yeah,
don't,
yeah.
ever,
Things,
don't
yeah.
ever talk about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
It's the world we live in,
That's-
man.
that's gotta be frustrating.
People with the internet, like we're
Yeah.
talking about, want to jump on and think they can and have these
It's a
opinions
shame.
like they know him. It's like,
It's so easy to get on Facebook and tell
Oh,
something,
yeah.
But
You
say
know what I
it
find
to
most
them in
I'm sorry,
person.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What I find most interesting is, and who I appreciate the most is mentally challenged kids.
Mm-hmm.
And
kids yesterday, that's what I was going to bring up, dude. Yeah.
you would never, like sometimes you say, how would they possibly know who I am? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
all know me.
Yeah.
They all know me and they all love me.
Yeah.
Did you see the kid that you were there, right? It was like, this kid was so happy. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
It was another
was so-
tear-jerking moment, dude.
Wow.
We're all sitting there, these kids came in, and dude, they're like giving us drawings because we've been watching the show, and
Yeah.
dude, the family came there just so these
Really?
kids could sit in that hotel and do these drawings and bring them over
Yeah.
and meet
Yeah.
Senior, dude. It was like, for
Oh, how
me,
sweet.
getting introduced into this life, I'm not used to that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it was,
Well,
it's amazing, but really emotional, and it was like, the impact is insane, dude.
What we do, what we started doing is vanity, right? You building cars or trucks or whatever you're doing it for someone that wants to look cool.
Yeah.
And my moment was we had a gentleman come to me and his son had gotten into a stolen car and gotten into a chase and gotten paralyzed in a car accident. And he said to me, he's like, Ed, I want to try to do something to give my son a hobby because he was like playing sports, basketball, baseball, and now he was in a wheelchair. And I said, well, shit, yeah, 100%, let's do it. And we built a car that basically his wheelchair came apart. He can get in. He could put his, the wheels behind the seat with big subwoofers. It was like a really, really custom show car. So we brought him down to Spring Break Nationals, and we had like, a bunch of celebrities down there would come up to him because we were there. We got a lot of attention at the time, so we were there with like 10 cars. So like, we had like models sitting in his lap, and Funkmaster Flex comes, like all these people are taking pictures with him, and he's got a smile like ear to ear. And I look over at the father, and the father's fucking crying his eyes out. And then I'm looking at him, and I'm like, what, is something wrong? At first I thought like...
Yeah, he didn't, yeah.
And then he goes, it's the first time I've seen him, because what he would say is the son used to smile just to make the father not feel bad, but he knew it wasn't a real smile. And he's like, that's the first real smile I've seen of my son in years. And then I'm like, ah! Me and the father like, oh. So, but it was like that one touch into my life where it was like not just about money. Because I've like broken my ass on cars, like done something where like I'm so proud of it. And then someone will come up, hand me money, thank you, see you later. No expression, no like, and I'm like, do you like it? I love it. Yeah. Do you really like it? Like I need that, So when we did that car for that kid, it was one of those moments where I'm like, shit, there's a little more to life. Like once you get past the stress of worrying about money, there's other things that are important when it comes to what you do for a living.
Well, I think people have this perception that you're a celebrity, that you're not like everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Like, I still do whatever it is.
Sweep the house. That's what I
Bakery,
love about you. That's what I tell.
And when people see it, they're like, how come you don't have somebody doing it? Yeah. I was downtown Newburgh in the ghetto over there, and this guy comes up to me and he says, you're the only dude that I know that's a celebrity that comes down here without an entourage. I don't feel out of place here.
I feel more comfortable in a bad area than a good area.
Like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a total misperception.
That's what's funny when people ask me, 'cause now that we've done some stuff into Facebook, all that, and they're like, "What?" I said, "What I love about Paul Sr. is that when I see him in a boat worrying about catching a 12-inch bass." When the whole world is like, spinning around you and all this nightmare, and you're sitting there looking at the water like, son of a bitch, I'm snagged,
Oh, that's relaxing.
So that's what's nice about seeing the real side of people. Luckily, I've gotten to work with a handful of people I really respect,
Well, I didn't sign up for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people sign up for it. They want to be an actor or an actress. I'm a blue-collar guy.
Yeah.
I was running a steel shop and I got a phone call. So, and I never knew what to expect.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see on TV, you're like, listen, when you think about it in your mind, okay, when you're a kid or growing up, you would never say to yourself that you'd be on television someday.
Yeah, it always feels
surreal.
surreal.
Like, it'd be the last thing in the world that you think could happen. And the next thing...
Yeah, and you kind of got thrown into it too. Now in Colorado, you had your own little shop or whatever.
Yeah, so I opened up Crybaby Cycles a couple of years ago when I stopped building hot rods and whatnot. I wanted to do bikes full time. Yeah.
And so amazing, by the way. It works amazing.
So now you're down here and you're in front of TV cameras and you see yourself on TV and you got people coming through.
It's wild here because I've done some other TV shows before in California, but it's nothing like OCC because of how big you guys are and that you've been on TV forever.
Yeah.
So there's this whole thing that's completely different than what I ever experienced. And then to do a whole season, it's weird, man. It's a trip.
And how was it for you to work on a bike with a camera hanging over you?
It doesn't bother me.
I can see.
I've done it before.
I noticed it. Your E's not as affected. Some people are very with the camera. Even me, like I've done it before. But it takes like that first one or two times to get like, okay, just the camera.
Like you're afraid you're going to screw something up?
I'm always so focused, I think, too, that it's easy for me to just close it out because I've just got a goal in hand, and so it's crazy there all the time, too.
This kid, not to interrupt you, this kid started doing metal and welding and now we got into wood and stuff, this kid Jordan. He said it's because of Orange County Choppers.
You hear that a lot.
He started,
you hear that a lot.
And I was like, I didn't even know that side. He goes, oh no, it was big. We actually were up there with him not too long ago, and he was like, oh no, you don't know how awesome this is for me, So it's cool.
Yeah, it's like
and not to interrupt you, but That's what's frustrating about some of the motorcycle guys. It was like you and a handful of other big names, right? When all that stuff started to pop, you guys really formed the industry because there were people that are like, oh, I could build choppers for a living. I could, so you guys almost
the
paved the
market
way a
was
lot.
huge.
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you what, man. I mean, I remember when the show came on, dude. It was we were all just like, whoa, dude. Look at all these guys. That's when the biker build off was
Yeah,
like
biker
just
build-off,
going
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was building. There was this, it was a huge thing. And back then, there was a shop on every corner, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it set it
show
on
was
fire,
a big, like, it's hard to even imagine what an impact the show has had on so many people's lives,
Yeah.
and
It
you
really
wouldn't
is.
think so, but mainly families,
Yeah.
mainly families, and it's interesting to see kids that were 3 years old
Yeah.
that watch the show and now they're 18, 19, or they have kids
Yeah.
that grew up watching their show.
Yeah.
But what I do remember is when we first started out, first year or whatever, when we went to Laconia, and kids were taking bicycles and they were coming up online and they had them stretched out and so it was
That's cool,
it was cool
It's a huge
to see
influence, yeah.
that kids they're working with their hands,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Which is a dying thing. That's,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Dave Turin, the guy who did the Gold Rush thing, and Mike Rowe, they're all about trying to get kids back
Yeah.
into trades. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things. I went up to my school, Dotson Valley Community College. My teacher, Mr. Smith, asked me to come up because he saw some of the stuff I was doing on Facebook. And I was talking to these young guys, and it was just like trying to express to them, like, hey, man, life starts now. Like, you should be taking this really serious because once you get out in the real world, life's a lot more brutal than any teacher could be, or so trying to get these kids excited about working with their hands because everybody wants to work in a computer. Everybody wants to be a computer designer. When I graduated, the class that we graduated like 20 of us, right, or 30 of us, body students, like, yeah. And then they did like computer design and drafting, and like 500, yeah. And I was like, if that's happening across the country, those people are going to cut your throat for a job. If you can't work with your hands, I mean, that protect even my daughter. Like, I'm going to teach her a trade, do whatever you want to do, but know how to do this in case you ever need to, eat. Yeah. You could always take a trade. Like any of us can go anywhere in the world and start working with your hands. Whether it's railings or bikes,
you
can always make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always. I tell people, learn to weld.
Yeah.
If you're going to pick something,
exactly.
you can go anywhere in the world to make money.
I'm all about the trade.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, even on a monetary view, okay, the average person, let's just say the average person that goes to school for 4 years. I never went to college, so I don't know what it costs. I know Joan paid like $90,000 a year for her girl to go to college in NYU or whatever. But anyhow, I knew that I never was going to go to college, and I knew I was always going to work with my hands. But if you do the math, let's just say you go to a 4 year college,
University.
okay? Let's just say it's $25,000 a year.
Oh, say it's 40.
But just say it's $25,000. So
Yeah.
now 4 years go by, it's $100,000 plus, right?
Yeah. Well,
Now, if you did take a trade, the day one that you went to college and the day one that you started that trade, the day one you were making money.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So now
Yeah.
it takes 4 years just to catch
Just
up.
to start.
Yeah.
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 I went to Wyotech, and that school is now closed down, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
It's sad that those schools aren't making it, and there's a time when that school, there's a waiting list.
What, that one in Daytona school? Is that?
Well,
Is it
no, the one in Wyoming, the original
Oh,
campus.
oh, oh.
Yeah, and beautiful facility. I had a great experience there. I mean, it's what got me in the door at Tin Element, which really started my own career. But yeah, it's sad to see that stuff dying, and I don't think it's underappreciated.
But I think it's coming back.
I hope
think
so.
the
I
trade
hope
is
so.
Well, it's going to be when people see ads in the paper in 10
Yeah.
years for a plumber
Yeah.
for $100,000
Yeah.
a year. That it's going to be, a mason, someone that makes railing. You said
Yeah.
they're not going to exist because everybody wants to do the same job. And now the scary part is they're talking now about automation taking trucking jobs, retail jobs. So now it's even more like
You're cutting out even more.
yeah,
the
just like what
factory.
the internet did to me when I started thinking I was going to make a lot of money in retail, and I was really good at selling. I could sell anything I needed to, but I sort of realized the internet was getting better, and if I kept on that route, I would have just been a guy without a job. And I was like, wow, I'm going to get really, really get into work and learning how to do custom interiors, like I touched on a little bit. And I had like 1 year where I closed a shop, and I was like, well, I could sit on my ass and do nothing, or I could just start taking this part of the interior building really, really serious. So I'm going to make nothing this year anyway. I'm going to have a horrible year, right? But I can have a horrible year and at the end of it know how to do something really well, or at the end of it be upset that I and just be exactly where I was the year before.
You gotta have progression all the time. Yeah.
Look at the kid we had in the show last time. He's so young, the painter.
Oh, Corey.
Yes.
Corey's awesome, yeah. Super responsive. We had a young kid here, his name is Corey, and he works on like 300 ZXs. I mean, he does a lot of stuff, but he's a specialist with them.
Young kid.
And he's like 20-something.
Yeah.
He came here, worked with me for a little bit. He's a great kid, but he was super driven, responsible, honest, you know, and I was like, looking at him like he was an alien because you don't see it anymore. I had a kid working here for me, and he was doing something half-assed. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, work smarter, not harder. And I'm just like, what? Like, really? Like, that's your attitude now in the beginning?
Yeah.
My attitude was like, bust my ass on the things that I couldn't do, or the things I could do well, just so my boss would let me try the harder shit. You know? And it's just like, nowadays, it's just like, it's just forget it, it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, I definitely notice it in younger generations and stuff, and you got to put in the work, you know.
Yeah.
You got to put it in.
Well, that's it. This is a world of instant gratification.
Yeah, and it's and once again, I think the internet and social media has made a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Now people's extension. I want to see what I want to see in a minute.
Yeah.
Or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. You know, to watch a show for an hour or half an hour, like it's almost like people don't.
Yeah, they don't.
Like
The younger generation don't turn the TV on, right?
Yeah, they're just on the computer.
On their phone. Yeah, because now you got Hulu and all that other stuff. You can just watch TV on your phone.
Yeah.
You know what amazes me? It's like the brain is a horrible thing to waste. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And remember that drug commercial? This is your brain. This is
Yeah.
your brain on drugs.
Yeah.
I noticed that some kids, they have these games, you know what I mean, whatever games they are, that'll be on that game non-stop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Like, so it's like an 8-hour day of just playing those games. Now, I don't really know what those games are. I've never played one until today.
It's not positive.
It's not positive,
Yeah,
you
no,
know
you
what I
can't do that. Even with my boy, I have a 6-year-old.
No,
He's got
my
a
daughter's
They
Nintendo.
love it, right?
They
They want to get to that phone.
He's got a new Nintendo Switch, and we, you get an hour a day. Maybe we go out. You can do a little bit longer if we're doing a dinner. But if we didn't monitor,
forget it.
it would be all day long.
Non-stop.
Yeah,
You got to pull it, and I think that's a problem too. Is people use that almost as a
Babysitter, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
you get,
I'm
yeah,
saying.
you
And
can't,
it's easy
yeah.
to do. It's
No,
easy.
it is. I get it.
When your kid is kind of like, and I gotta stop.
And you're busy, and you're,
Yeah,
I
like
get
my
it.
daughter she likes watching her YouTube videos, and it's funny because some of them, if you're careful, some of them they do teach some lessons. And like my daughter will come out with a word, and she'll say something, and I'll go, where did you learn that from? From FGTV or this, that,
And it's so bizarre, and we talk about this a lot too. When I was a kid, when the Nintendo old school shit here came out and stuff like that, we still might have rocked it a little bit, but once again, we were outside.
Yeah, manhunt.
Dude, my mom would have to
yeah.
fucking find us. Get in there, the lights are coming out, come on.
Yeah.
We never were driven to it, and for some reason it seems like these kids now are just, why are they so driven to it? I don't know.
I saw some kids playing stickball out in the street the other day, and I stopped.
Dude,
my
that's
car.
unheard
I
of.
couldn't
Take a
believe it. I was
picture?
like,
Did you take a
are they doing what I think they're
Wow,
doing?
that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it should
Balding
be.
ball, right?
Yeah, I got hit by a car in Queens. As a matter of fact, the first, this is a story, I'm sure you heard it before, but the first thing I ever painted in my life, because I was always intrigued with taking things apart, putting things together. Anything that had screws,
That's
I
how
find
was,
I'd
man.
take shit
Tear
apart.
Yeah.
So I had a bike, and it was getting a little older, and I was like, I want to paint that thing. And I was smart enough to clean the whole bike down with like a Windex, right? I don't know how I knew it, but I knew paint wouldn't stick to the grease and stuff. So I cleaned this whole thing real careful. I paint the whole thing dog shit brown, like the grips, the seat, the tires,
Everything.
the chain, the whole thing.
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
just one solid. So it was still tacky, and we were playing stickball right off of I guess it's Northern Boulevard, right? That goes right through Queens, right by the BQE. Now we weren't that bright because like the main road is here and the corner's here. We're playing baseball like right here, like right as someone comes around the corner. So there were these kids that came over and they started touching the bikes. It was still tacky. And I was like, I had this stick. I'm like, the neighborhood bullies. I'm like, all right, this is it. I'm going to do it. I have the bat. I feel tough. And I take like 2 steps in the street and I get hit by a car. And,
God got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a very definitive mark to the beginning of my painting career.
That's funny.
So yeah, it's but yeah, it's like everything. We used to play like like Manhunt. Like I used to remember, like we'd be
Army,
like,
dude.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
like, yeah, just like jumping fences, riding their
See,
bikes.
whatever it
like,
was, man. Yeah.
then I got real big into like BMX riding and
Yeah,
freestyling
me
and
too, man.
skateboarding and
Motocross.
Yeah, yeah.
Bikes were my thing. I was
Yeah.
really fortunate to have a dad that
that's cool.
got me going really young
And
and
I
take
think-
me to the track and
Yeah.
I think that's part of it. I think as a parent, your responsibility is is to try to like introduce
It
my
is your-
daughter to as
you're
many
right, dude.
things as possible.
It is our responsibility as parents. You're totally right
Yeah.
about that, man.
Yeah, speaking
Yeah.
of motocross, I was watching the motocross practice at OCFS the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. The littlest,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like little 50
Little guys,
cc.
man.
Yeah.
Little guys.
Yeah, they're
little guy.
gnarly,
And I
those
thought-
little guys.
I'm like, that's awesome, and the
It is,
little guy
man.
would like fall over and the
It's such
father
a
would run
positive
out
thing.
and
Yeah.
it's just
Well,
awesome that
it
these
also-
little kids want to do that.
And it teaches
You know?
them failure, and it teaches them how to get knocked down and get
Oh,
back
they
up.
get pick that bike
Losing.
right back up.
Losing, yeah.
Because there's a difference. That's another thing. We've come into this world where everybody's a winner. No.
Yeah.
That's back to the reality of real life. No,
Mhm.
there's winners and losers, and,
Yeah.
and sports like that really teach them.
Yeah, well, yeah, everyone gets a participate.
Yeah.
Participate.
Participation. Yeah,
and that's like I don't know if that's like they make the world such a safe place.
yeah.
and
that's
it's
just not
like-
the reality. of
But
it.
when you
Yeah.
meet someone who doesn't think like that, they're dangerous. There's bad people out there, and unfortunately, with the way we're going with the country, is like a lot of people. Not to get political, but a lot of people don't want to believe there's evil in the world,
Yeah.
and there is. And I'd rather be prepared for the evil and hope things are good than to think
Can't be
everything's
naive about it.
dandelions.
Yeah.
You ever get any calls for kids that want to intern there or
Yeah,
anything?
just going.
Oh, no
From
kidding.
Sweden.
Wow.
15-year-old. Actually, he's going to come stop at the
15?
shop.
15?
Yeah. He's going to stop at the shop next week.
That's awesome.
And I've never really had that, you know what I mean? I don't really know
That's what I'm
to
saying.
expect.
Yeah.
But, you go let the kid come in.
Yeah, let
Done
it
it a
mess
couple of
around.
times at hot rod shops and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I've done it before
sometimes
here
it
too.
works out, and sometimes it doesn't. But either way, I mean, it's a cool.
First of all, if he's from
opportunity.
a different country, he definitely has
Better work ethic.
anybody in the state.
Yeah.
Especially Newburgh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
So what does he want to do? Does he a little bit of everything?
I said he
or-
worked around a metal shop and that kind of stuff.
Huh.
So what does that mean? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Usually, my experience is you kind of throw them all over, and you see what they're drawn to.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what's
That's
the
what
worst
I do
thing-
now.
where's the
Yeah,
passion?
yeah.
And if you can tap into that, if someone wants it, that's where you usually can get
And he's
something
not
special.
getting paid. They're kind of paying for him to
come down.
come down and do that. So
Yeah, but that could
And that's
start.
not
That
the
could
reason
start
why
a
I
whole
would
life.
have him,
That could
because I
start a
don't
whole
stay
life.
thing.
Yeah.
You
It's
not the
never
reason.
know where that can go.
That
That's amazing
spark.
things.
That spark. And that's again. That goes back to, what you've done is that you have an opportunity. Like to you, it's like there's some kid. Right now there's some kid like, you're not gonna
Yeah.
believe where I'm going next week.
Yeah,
So it's-
shit. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
Well, my experience in the steel business or whatever, the best person that worked for you was the person that came and knew nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I would
learned
agree. Yeah.
the right way.
Listen.
Yeah.
Learn
guy
the right
downstairs.
way. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the right way isn't always your way,
Yeah.
but picks up the work
A
ethic.
fresh.
and-
Sometimes
and,
a
you know what I
fresh
mean?
palate is
Every
better
time,
than a
yeah.
bad palate.
Yeah.
Once again, man, most shops that I've been a part of they almost want a fresh
Without
hands
bad habits,
because
yeah.
bad habits are hard to
Yeah.
break, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he came to me, Justin downstairs, and he came walking in. He goes, "I want to work on cars." I said, "Well, have you any experience?" He goes, "Not really. I've worked on some cars here and there, my own stuff, but not really. No." And I was like, "All right, well, at least you're honest, right? Right there is one thing that I've had problems with before, and then
Saying they can do all this stuff and then
Well, yeah, I've had guys come to. I guys, I can do anything you could do. Yeah, great. Now you want to make this much money? Okay, if you could do what I could do, we're in business. I need someone that can do what I can do. And then they start doing some stuff. They go, well, I can't do that, or I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's not necessarily what they think they can do, because I'd rather have someone that has balls, that oversteps kind of where they want to be.
want
it's-
confidence. But-
Confidence, exactly. But there's a difference between confidence and arrogance.
Yeah.
And when you're arrogant and your ego is too big, then you're never going to get any better. I don't care where you are. As soon as your head believes everything that people tell you, or you guys have that, all the magazines, the TV, and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And if you stop pushing forward, there'll be that next guy that's like, yeah, they stopped. I've seen guys in my business, in the car stereo world, that once they got a little tiny bit of attention, a couple pats on the back, they just stop learning.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just because your ego, like people want to believe so badly to things they hear.
Yeah.
That's very odd to me too. You bringing up that point because a lot of what we do in the bike or car industry is what do? You go to shows amongst your peers, and you look at people's work. And to me, when I go to shows and I see these dudes that I have a lot of respect for, or I see their amazing builds, I'm always like, oh shit, I gotta get better. Like, or like, oh, fuck, man, and it always pushes me to be driven, and I think that's important. Who can ever say, well, I made it, I'm done? Life doesn't work that way.
So is that what you did? Did you
and
start
there's always
out
another badass coming out, man.
Yeah.
Always.
Well,
did you start out in a shop, like small shop? Like, how did you get into this?
So I was always in, tinkering around and building bikes and doing that. But there was a point where I was like, I wanted to learn more. I was a painter.
So you really self-taught too? Like,
well, to a certain degree,
Yeah.
and then I got to a point where I wanted to hit a professional level of it, and that's when I went to Wyotech. When I was going through advanced street rod, there's a guy named Neil. His shop is in Denver, Colorado, and it's called Tin Element, and it is like, holy shit, world renowned, still the best metal shaper I've ever been around. I mean, when I was working there, rebodying full aluminum vintage Porsches off pictures on walls. I mean, it was fucking insane.
It's art. It's art.
This guy can run a power hammer like you never seen. So they were looking for the top student. I was doing really well, and so they, my teacher Mike gave him my name, and I started working at Tin Element.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's what really set me going, and he really taught me metal shaping and introduced me to this high end level of it that you don't know unless you get
that's
get
great,
out there.
but that's what this kid might be doing from Sweden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's what's so great about
and
it.
then it went. But you
giving
gotta
someone
have
an
it and you gotta
opportunity.
want it. But it is an opportunity. That you gotta have that. It's hard to get into it without that opportunity.
How long is he gonna be with you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he even is. But he's coming this week.
Wow.
So,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Young 15.
But that's how you got to get started.
Yeah.
That's how you got to get
Young
started.
guns, man.
You learn all your mistakes. Like you figure, if you start at 15, by the time you're 20, you kind of can get started, right? You see guys that get older. I've had friends of mine that are like, "Oh, I want to get into this," and I almost don't have the heart to tell them. Like, by the time you kind of get good at it, I mean, if you're gonna do it, morning, noon, and night, don't sleep. Just hustle.
It takes a long time.
It takes a long time to and I mean. Again, like, you could do something and think you're getting good at it, and like you said, be like, I'm starting to figure this out. And then a whole new world of how far you can go opens, and you go, holy shit, I'm just getting in the door. But that's kind of what I like. I like that always have that challenge,
The bike and car world's deep, man. There's so much out there and so much amazing talent, and that's one of the things, we talked about this too, that we both love about Instagram, is on the positive side of that. It is able, it's being able to showcase people that you would never be able to see that work and see that talent. And a lot of people have had success because without it, they're in the back of the shop. No one would know about.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When we were doing all this, there was a period of time where we were winning every show we went to, and everyone was magazines, and it was like, And I was very careful to say, like, this is a trap, right? And my guys were very like, yeah, we got this trophy, woohoo, and they were kind of like being a little showy about it. And I was like, right now there's some kid in his garage that has 5,000 hours in some car he's building that's going to kick our ass next time we come to a show. So like, you got to keep staying sharp. You got to be, like you said, you got to be your own worst critic, because it's easier to impress, I think, other people.
Got to stay relevant.
You got to, and always try to do, like you said, new things, new challenges, things you're uncomfortable. What I find is, if I don't like something, I'm like, I gotta try to do that. Because I don't like it for a reason. It's because I'm feeling comfortable. And that uncomfortable feeling is what makes me say, okay, let me go in there and start messing it up. Because that messing up is the start of, and it's funny because like compared to your shop, you guys have so many, like there's a lot of pictures of some of the cool things I've done. But there's also, if I took pictures of everything I messed up trying to do something cool, it would be, I could go up and down the street with those pictures, so.
But I think that in order to have success, you have to have failure.
Have to.
Yeah.
You have to, because that's for me, I learned everything off of failure.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
But you have to have balls enough to venture off into
Where you may fail,
being able to say, okay, I don't know too much about that refrigerator there, but I think I do.
Yeah.
And then when you get into it,
Yeah.
it's like you don't know, but you figure it out. You have, but now you have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
So the next time that you do it, you learn something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my whole life was like that.
Yeah.
My whole life was like that.
That's hard, and I think, especially with the show and the environment that you've been into, it only shows very little. It only shows one side of it, and there's this whole bigger thing, of mistakes, making parts over again. When I build my bikes, sometimes I'll go into a really complicated part. It might take me 4 freaking times.
Yeah,
no one sees that shit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always just, oh yeah, we're all just perfect at this.
Well,
it's not the reality, no matter how good you are.
Yeah. And to me, I get like a writer's block. Like if I have something I can't, like once I know I got it, and I'm confident that if it's a feeling I get.
Yeah.
If I get that feeling, go, okay, it's starting to make sense. I'm good, and I can fly with it.
Yeah.
But if I'm at the point, like I was working on something recently, and someone had told me just like start messing with it, because I wasn't touching it, and then I started.
You got it. You got to jump in.
Even if I'm going to cut this off and throw it in the garbage, I got to get started, and then that motion starts. You start seeing other things, and you may go back and chop it off. But that's sometimes how you got to get. You got to get started. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. And you really never know what really possessed you to start that or to get to. When I was a kid, and I never somebody brought it to my attention, but I never related it to the things that I do today. But when I was a kid, 5, 6 years old, I had an uncle.
I'm so curious what the 5, 6-year-old Paul Senior was like. Or like the 12-year-old.
Yeah. But I used to build with my uncle was the only person in my life that took the time to spend time with me. So we would build back in the day models. You put every single piece, and we would take like a 49 Ford, and you put every single piece. You had to put the glue on, and then we would paint it out of a candy apple red. And then I used to build a lot of double wingers, the balsam double wingers. But even if you really think about it, evidently back then, you had that. I don't know what you would call it for.
You know what I mean? Of building and creating.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about with the kids now is. We were just naturally driven to that, like how you were when you talk about that. Usually in a circle of guys like this, when you look at them as a kid and talk about it, it always comes back to those stories.
I had lots. My grandfather, and my father passed when I was really young. And I think that's one of the things, not to change something, that's one of the things I liked about OCC. Because I got to see like a father-son relationship. Even the fighting, it was like, it was interesting to me. But my grandfather, I'd go to my grandfather's house.
Wasn't interesting to me.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
So,
those last seasons were like,
yeah. And that's what people ask me, is that real? I'm like, well, shit, I'm not asking them if it was real because I could sense it. When I first met you, and that's one of the things Nick said to me, he goes, don't ask him. So I'm not asking the guy shit. I'm not going to ask him something about his family, personal. Like, you got to know someone for years before you walk up to them and ask them about their family.
You could tell, though, there was no bullshit, man.
Yeah.
And listen, I truly, and think about twofold. I truly believe that we were the first reality TV. The only thing that was close to that was Ozzy. That was close to that, but that was still scripted too. So we were the first reality show, and think about this for a second. You're the first reality show, and you're on Discovery. Now Discovery was just ants, bugs, snakes. What Marlon Perkins? But that's am I right? Omaha. And then all of a sudden it was like, boom! Here's the toast.
It was.
It's like brace yourself. Brace yourself.
Being here now, and it's still surreal to me when you talk about those moments too, because who didn't watch that show? And I remember when it came off. I remember watching the Spider Bike episode and Jet Bike and the pilots, and then now all these years later, like pulling up to the shop, it was just like no fucking
surreal,
cool.
right?
So bizarre, so bizarre.
And
man.
what was weird
so
to me?
Bizarre.
I've said this before. I always had a weird feeling I would know you and Mikey. But I didn't get that same vibe with Junior. Not like I listen when he was here.
He's more distant,
When he was here,
or protected would be the word.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When he was here with the last episode, he was much more like funny and charming and open than you've ever seen in the show. Because I knew the Paul Jr. from the TV show, and here he was a little more comfortable joking around.
I mean, it's environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That has a lot to do with it. But he always was that kid, and he was always the
introverted, maybe.
I don't know if it was introverted, but I'm just going to say different. Because you know
Yeah,
who Mikey
yeah,
is. You know who Mikey is.
Yeah.
Mikey,
Yeah.
And
everybody
Mikey's
knows who he
scary.
is.
You know when I first met
He is
Mikey
scary.
in person? No, I don't mean scary in a bad
No,
way.
he's scary in the back.
When I first met Mikey, it was amazing how quick he was compared to
Smart
what
kid.
the show
Guy
puts
is
off.
sharp,
The
dude.
show puts off, Adobe.
smart
Then you
kid.
meet him in person, you go, no, there's much more going
Oh
on
yeah.
here.
Yeah. No, that's that
He,
was.
he came
knows
here with
about a lot.
a loaf of bread, salami, and pastrami. No plates, no condiments, no ketchup. And he goes, "You want a sandwich?" He's sitting here, and I'm like, and like you said, I'm like, is Mikey Tuttle in here with no mayo, no nothing? Well, yeah, let me have a
Yeah.
sandwich, I
Dude,
guess.
hey, listen. So we filmed this. I used to have bought a house when I was kind of divorced, and I bought a house in Montgomery. So, and that's where I was building bikes in the basement. So, they wanted, when I did the senior series, they wanted, let's go back to your.
Yeah,
the
the
house.
visit. Yeah.
So we knock on the door. The guy comes to the door. We walk into the door. We walk into the kitchen. Mikey goes right in the refrigerator.
Oh yeah.
Opens the refrigerator door.
Yeah.
Looking, but gets, I don't know what he got, and starts eating something.
Yeah.
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 And that's no
Yeah,
bullshit. That's real.
Yeah.
That's not
yeah.
TV bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, he's.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody. Actually, me and Eddie were talking about him today. And he comes in the shop and works out. I've never met anybody quite like
him, yeah,
Mikey.
he's different, yeah.
Yeah.
But in a
And
good
it-
way, yeah.
Scott,
No, yeah.
I think he
Yeah.
likes to make you laugh too.
I think we both have.
I think he
Yeah.
was always the glue, right, of everything. It
Yeah.
always seemed like he was like
He was the peacemaker.
yeah,
He's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
soft.
He was one-
He's not
Yeah,
a.
yeah.
He's not an angry dude. Yeah, he's very
not.
soft. Yeah.
No, he's not. He's really a good kid. But yeah. The whole thing is the whole. It's when I think about it, like I wrote a book, Ride of a Lifetime, but that. Like it's not over. It's
Yeah.
not-
I was just gonna say,
It's
keep
not
going.
even close
Yeah,
to
that's
being
what's so
over.
crazy.
Yeah.
No, we were talking about that. It's got to be the most
15,
longevity of a show, but also as a shop, it's got to be one of the longest standing.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
99.
Well, you know what I said to this
Yeah.
guy? You know what I said to this guy? And listen, I'm very careful about. I'm not like, oh, you shouldn't say anything about, but But I said, the guy was saying like he was kind of being a little shitty, and I'm like, listen, the truth is that in 1,000 years, people are going to remember your name.
Yeah.
Paul Senior, people are going to remember who you are. And how many people could say that? And that's important.
Very
It's a
few.
good thing.
Yeah, maybe not in a good way.
The thing
I
is,
never
whether
said a
it's
good
not-
way.
Whether it's good or bad, they do know. They do know. It's
Yeah,
the truth.
Yeah. So,
And
I
I always
listen,
say, we'll take the bad too.
you can't.
That's right.
Right? I mean,
What's the phrase? You can't, make an omelet without breaking some eggs. I mean, I think that, and that's what I needed to learn. I think I did learn that a little bit from meeting you and getting around you and seeing how unaffected I believe you are. Because I think people think you're like you said,
Perseverance, dude.
a celebrity.
Perseverance.
I think I'm this, and then when it's like how funny sometimes, like some of the things he said, the little thing cracked me up. Like I remember one, but I won't repeat it here. He said, not repeatable even for here. But it was like how unaffected you seem to be by all of it, which is refreshing. Because me, that's kind of like it's what I want to do. I'm not necessarily the TV and the drama and the headaches, but you want to excel. And then you see someone that's made it that doesn't look like their life has been destroyed.
Well, when you come from a hard spot in life right from the get-go,
yeah,
not really having parents,
Yeah.
that really gave a shit,
Yeah.
you grow up that way. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you start building on yourself. And I believe that anybody that does that always remembers where they came from. And that's
A lot
what
of
keeps you
truth
grounded.
there. Yeah.
That's what keeps you grounded.
Yeah.
I love, like when I was up there talking to those kids, I even said to the kids, because it was like scattered room of like 20 kids, and like only 2 people were paying attention to me. And I started realizing, I went to a training with John Kamaski, the guy from House of Color, and I was like this, like had a notepad, and he was looking at me, and we were like having a conversation, right? And I'm like, why is he paying so much attention to me? And I'm like, maybe it's because he heard of this. Like in your head, and I'm like, no, it's because I was paying attention to
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Because when I was talking to these kids, it was like this kid was listening to me, this kid was listening to me, and this other kid was floating off. And I said, instead of taking this
Connecting.
opportunity, I'm going to start focusing. There was a couple of kids that had like, I don't know, special needs, but they were a little bit, off a little bit, and not in a bad way, but. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take it as a challenge, and I'm going to engage them. And I'm like, what do you want to do? And the kid goes, I don't know. I'm like, well, do you have anything you like? And he's looking around like he was nervous.
Yeah.
And then he opened up. And then the kid that was a little more similar to him, he started talking.
Yeah.
Then it started becoming, so I was like, listen,
people
guys.
feed off energy, man.
And I was like, listen, if any of you guys are interested, come down to the shop for a weekend. I'll go over all the stuff. If you like some of the stuff I do, I'll teach you guys, on me. And these kids were like, yeah. It was like, so we went from walking into a room being me nervous to talk to these kids to like them being like, this is awesome. They're like, they're standing up cheering. But it wasn't for me. It felt good, but it felt good because I realized I had a small opportunity to reach and like take some of what I've done, in my life and maybe pass some of it to somebody else. Because like, when you see skill, that just ends and it doesn't get like. You know what I mean? Like to me, I think that's a powerful thing to take a trade and then take somebody else and teach them. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, it is cool.
So what else? What's new for OCC? Let's talk about that a little bit. What do you got going on up there? You got laser tag and race cars. And
and right now we're doing our own filming. So we're doing like a digital program that's working out really well.
Amazing concept.
So we're building.
Yeah,
so basically, we're
less restrictions, right? More what you want to do.
Great.
Yeah,
it's great, and
that's where it's
what
going.
What you build is what you see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you edit it yourself, you film it yourself. You have a client that you're still working for, and it's what you put into it is what you get out of it. Where on Discovery, they'll whatever they want to do, they can do. But it was junior, and senior. Listen, that was a tough time, and I'm not the type of guy to not be who I am. So if I'm pissed, I don't care. I'm mad. You know what I mean? I don't care. I don't care. So but with the TV, okay, they're getting ratings, okay. So even if I said that I like you or I like Paulie, they could switch it where I don't like you, or they'll switch another scene in there to correspond with the one you did. So you were always the bad guy.
Yeah.
Even when you weren't the bad guy, you were the bad guy. So that's what I don't like about TV, not having that control. You're not having the control to take care of your customer. You know what I mean? When you build a bike for a customer for TV. He's expecting certain things for his money. Yeah. And if Discovery doesn't want to do that, they don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been really happy with it so far.
So what are you doing with this? You got somebody in-house videoing your build?
We have regular editing staff. We have a film, sound. Just a small version of what we had, but we looked at the first clip today, and it was really bro.
Yeah, and what do you put it up on your website or Facebook page or?
We do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
YouTube, all that.
And we're backed up. We'll probably have five bills. Right?
We'll be releasing it probably the middle of next month, so we're really excited. Really excited to show people what we've been doing. Yeah.
Oh, so this is not up on your page yet, or will be soon?
Teasers.
Yeah,
teasers.
Okay. You can even look on my Instagram.
Yeah.
I did a short teaser today.
And we have stuff up
give
on
you an
YouTube.
idea of what we're doing.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, that's where it's going. I hate
That's
to
where
say
it's going.
it. The network,
TV
the
is
days
not-
of network, I think are, if it's not now, in 5 years, it'll be. I mean,
Done.
The
viewership, like I've been doing Discovery since 2002, and back then, we'd get 3, 4, 5 million people watching the show.
Wow.
Today, you get 500,000.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And that's
because
considered
people
good,
don't
so.
watch TV.
Yeah.
They're not paying for cable.
Yeah,
They're not
exactly.
expensive.
Well,
Why
expensive.
should they? They
Yeah.
can put Netflix
And it's
on
right
and get a
here.
good
Yeah,
show.
exactly.
That Mike Rowe show I did, I don't know if we did a van for the Mike Rowe episode. And one of his episodes, and I might be wrong, but it was like 50 million or 70 million views. Like,
It's insane.
that
It's
you
insane.
couldn't get from a TV
No.
show, so that's incredible.
Well, think about YouTube for a second. There's people that consistently do it that have that many followers.
Yeah.
When you have 70 million, when you have 10 million followers, you own a lot.
Yeah,
Everybody
If you
wants
get a million, that's
either advertise on your show or whatnot. So you're not getting that on TV.
Yeah. Well, that's what I like about what you're saying. You do. You have control. You know, I never liked the idea of, you know, the thought. We had a couple of, like, nonsense versions of people wanted to do shows with us, and I was in a bad place, and it was like, yeah, and then you start reading like these, just the first contract that they're telling you what you can and can't do and what control you have, and I was like, that's sketchy, you know. And then you have producers that we did Car Wars with Funkmaster Flex, and they were trying to put us against the other builders. I was so focused on what I was building, I didn't give a shit about what they were doing. But again, they got to me. They found a way to get the guy got me to the point where I wasn't ready to fight and all this. So one of the other teams, and we had one luckily, one of the other guys came up to me in a show, and he's like, Ed Golden, get over here. And I was like, this was a guy we almost went to battle, like physically fought, you know. And he goes, I want to show you this text. It was from the producer. It was a girl, and I liked her a lot. She was a sweetheart. But it was like, Ed's at his phone right now. Call him and say this and do this and do that.
That's exactly.
I was like, I had no clue.
What
you know,
happened
but-
to me on the show I did in California, and they were all putting us against each other. Because what does TV want?
Yeah,
Drama.
fights. And the
Drama.
thing is,
Drama.
you respect people naturally. I'm sorry, I thought I shut this off before that. For me, it's very hard for me to dislike somebody who's in my field. If you're a craftsman, I like you, like no matter what, you know. It's like, you know, it's hard to get me to dislike someone who does what I do, that has the same passion. I mean, obviously they found a way, you know, they sent some guy to my shop and he came walking
Yeah, they
in,
try to
and I
make
was
it
like,
competitive.
but I was so,
What bothers me the most, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
What bothers me the most, okay, is that they will destroy a family, not even give a shit.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
Move on to the next one, and you know how many families they destroyed?
That's crazy.
It's a cutthroat world. man.
In a way, they did destroy my family. Too.
Yeah.
You know, really,
Yeah.
that was a huge part of
About
it.
10 years,
Yeah.
right? You guys weren't talking for 10 years?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. To none of my family.
Mm.
I wasn't talking to anybody.
Wow.
Or nobody was talking to me.
Yeah.
I think it was more like that.
You were talking to
He
them.
said it before we did.
That's awesome.
My ex-wife hated me more
Yeah.
than she did before, before the show.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, listen. I mean, I think it's like a trade-off, right? You know, in a way, you're trading off security and financial freedom for.
Yeah.
But luckily,
Everything's a sacrifice, man.
luckily, you know,
That's
it's
right.
it's not all destroyed, right? You have the opportunity now to bring it back, and that's what I like to see. Like, to me, even like being like, even it's weird. Like, talk about surreal. Like, I think they were filming something, and I'm just sitting there watching. I'm like, oh shit, I might as well have like popcorn. I'm just like, here I am, you know, watching OCC again, you know, and it's nice for me to see you guys getting back together, whether you're working together as much or not. Just to be able to put that patch together is nice, because I think it's a good part of the story is to see it. Like, the harder part is it's easy to fight and yell and scream at somebody, right, and get mad, F you, F this, and let all that emotion out. It's harder to come back and try to patch that, you know. And I'm a big, like, even with me, I notice, and on a way, way tiny scale compared to what you're doing, but the assumption is I'm doing something, right? And I notice people acting different to me, that I'm trying so desperately to be like, no, like, you're getting it wrong. I don't think this, I don't think that, but no, you think this, and you think you're that. And I'm like, no, like, I'm trying to be the best friend I can be to you. But some people, I think, get this weird, I don't know if it's jealousy, if people think I have friends hitting me, I wish I was making what you're making. I'm going, oh shit, I hope you're not making what I'm making. But like, and like, in the world, is some of it you want that assumption, right? Part of your business is you want the assumption that things are great and it's wonderful, but then there's a part of you with your friends and people you're really cool with to be like, dude, me, like, this is who I always am.
Yeah.
No matter whatever comes my way, I would never be different, especially to the people I know already. Maybe new people is weird, because now when people like approach you, like I was talking like about my daughter gets mad at him because she thinks he closed Chuck E. Cheese because OCC is so nice.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, she saw when we were at OCC, I had my daughter, she goes, I want to talk to him. I'm like, what? She goes, he closed Chuck E. Cheese, and I'm like, oh shit, that's so funny.
That is funny.
But that's why, like, if I was you, I would love kids, because you know that if they're talking to you and they like you, like right now,
No
you have to
bullshit.
guess
Yeah.
every person you meet now,
Yes.
unless you have a disguise on, right? And that's unfortunate, because you never know what somebody's true.
Motives.
And I think, and even when we first met, we were doing some of the. I said to you, I said, listen, I like the idea of being around OCC and being around you because it can help me get a little further. And I think if you're honest with that, you know, if you kind of tell people, at least if your motives aren't hidden behind bullshit, then it's very easy for someone to go, okay, I appreciate that. But I think when people come to you with like a whole fake agenda, like, oh, just it's nothing to do with anything else. It's just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That's one of the things that really pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And that happens a lot.
I'm cool
Oh,
with
of
people,
course, yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't put up with that bullshit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you the other thing that I'm not afraid to tell you to fuck off.
Mhm.
When you solicit me,
Mhm.
beat it.
Yeah.
Don't come around me and solicit.
Yeah.
I'm here signing autographs, taking pictures. Not here to listen to you sell me something.
Yeah.
Beat
Yeah,
it. I'll
yeah.
tell them, beat
Yeah,
it. Get away
yeah.
from me.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember when we went down to the lake. It was so funny because like here he is, we're at Wickham, and he's just trying to go fishing, right? And and like it just so happened to be like a bunch of people are bringing the boats in and out, and I'm thinking like, oh, is this hysterical? Cause me, I'm a side like, okay, let's see how this goes, because see people react to him, I think is interesting, you know. And he's like just trying to, just trying to get too much attention, get the boat out, and then Nick walks out the end of the dock. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Paul Senior at the lake, and he's like, son of a bitch. And then in the middle of the lake, these people must have been out like 50 feet, and there's this real southern voice. This lady goes, "I knew it! I knew it was him!" They turn around, and that was
That's funny.
They had a child. I don't know if you remember, but they had a child that was home. I think he was wheelchair bound, and he was a huge fan of the show. And like they stopped, and Joan, you guys took pictures. I think you sent emails to him. So it's like when I hear people say something like even a little bit shitty, I'm like, that's just not the person I knew, and I didn't know you in it. I didn't know you in a situation where you were trying to impress me or trying to be something you're not. You know what I mean? I just always saw you as a nice dude. So when I hear it, I'm like, man, you could even try to be a nice guy, try as hard as you do, and still get sometimes the shit end of the stick.
Yeah.
You know? But then I always say this, and this is the first thing I think, especially locally. In my eyes, Orange County Choppers, you built like a castle, right? If you think about it, it's like a modern day castle. And I think some people look, they go, why can he have that? And they don't think about all the hard work and all the hours
Yeah, they
of
have no idea.
getting metal in your eye and cursing and screaming.
yeah.
They just see the end result, you know. And I think that is unfortunately the.
And that's where the part of the TV only, that's why I keep saying that. TV only just shows
just a little.
a little
Yeah,
bit. And people
absolutely.
think and connect with it that they're seeing it all, but you're just seeing a little bit.
But if you showed the rest of it, they'd be on, you'd be chopping at your neck even more.
They probably wouldn't even
Yeah.
watching the show.
But listen, that's part of what I think's cool about it, is that it is evolving and people are growing with you. You know, your fans that, like you said, that were, you know, maybe they
Well,
were
you know,
20 then. They're, you know,
The fans do, but Discovery don't.
Yeah.
Discovery's still back in 202.
yeah.
They're trying to,
Well, they're in an industry that's dying. Unfortunately, network television
right,
is
but
going
nothing
away.
stays the same.
Yeah.
They didn't evolve.
People
Yeah.
move on. Their lives change. Whether you want it or not, your life changes
Yeah.
as you
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah.
That's life.
And that's where we, meaning me, Paulie, Mikey, everybody's in a different space. You're in a different place of life. Paulie's got a 4-year-old kid. He's
Yeah.
44 years old, and he was in his 20s when he did the show. But Discovery wants to do the same show that they did in 202, but it's not the same.
not gonna
Nobody's
work
the
the same
same.
way, yeah.
You know, why would you try
Doesn't
to
make sense.
recreate something that didn't work? You know, I mean, it worked, but at the end,
Yeah,
didn't
it ran
work,
its
you know?
thing. Yeah.
But it had its time,
Right.
and that
Yeah.
time is
Right.
over now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't force that. You know.
But again, like to me, it's interesting, you know, to see it evolve. Even like me watching it, that's what's so funny. It's like I'll be at the shop like that day, you know, help you guys something, and I'll be home and I'm watching it, and like I'm still like a fan in a way, you know. The funniest, the greatest story ever of the whole thing was, I think I met Junior briefly up at a bar in Newburgh, right, and I met Paul, Jason, and this was back when I was drinking a little bit. I wasn't much of a drinker, but this one night I had a few too many drinks in me, and I'm like, I walked up, introduced myself, and I said, I think I want to, mate. I finished this conversation, nice to meet you, and I walked away. I saw Rick in Newburgh, and I swear to God, I'm driving, and I was, oh my God, it's Rick! Oh, I got so excited, and I've already met Jay Leno, Chip Foose. I've hung around all these people who I was, you know, like, so I know these celebrities. And I saw Rick, and I got so excited. So then when I actually went to OCC the first time with Nick, and I met you guys there, and I walk up to Rick, and I'm like, what's going on, man? How you doing? Like, real calm. I'm like, oh, I hope he doesn't recognize me from Adams. So that's
Well, people
cool.
talking about evolving. You guys are really did a like 180 with bike building.
Yeah.
You guys are
Yeah,
like
yeah,
totally
we changed the direction.
absolute like big time.
360 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the parts that when me and him first started coming together, we sat down and really talked about, where he wanted to go and, and who I wasn't in and what we could do together.
And you love this style, don't you?
Yeah, listen, that's the reason why I picked.
Yeah.
That's the reason. I don't know if everyone knows, but I met him on Instagram.
Mhm.
I was looking.
Look at that.
Yeah,
It's
I was
amazing,
looking,
right? Put a picture
Well,
up.
I was
Social
looking at
media.
everybody's works because there's so many talented people out there.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
so
yeah.
many talented
Different
people.
angles, different
Yeah,
views on doing
and
things.
I was looking at everybody's stuff, and I saw his stuff, and I was like,
Different.
his fabricating skills were phenomenal, but his bike was more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was
Something
like
special,
that's
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
that's better than the bike that I ever imagined. You know what I mean? Because
Uh-huh.
in my era, I still ride the same bike today that I rode back in my era.
Yeah.
Same bike.
Yeah.
Same bike, and I probably always will.
Mm.
But there was a time when I first opened my business that all I built was knuckleheads, panheads, and shovelheads, bobbers. No kicked out. All rigids.
Yeah.
That's what I started, and then we started going with the fat tire bike and
Mhm.
the T-Rex and the Pro
Yeah.
Street, which was popular.
That was the thing back then.
It was
yeah.
that was what was popular, but my personal bike was never that.
So we really connected on that, on our vision and style of what we wanted to do, and
Yeah.
it was really fun to be a part of that. And I was really honored to
Mm.
say, "Hey, man, let's do this together." And
Yeah.
it was exciting. I thought all the bikes were super proud of,
Mhm.
and that's why coming into this OCC Plus and what we're doing now, that
Yeah, and even,
excitement
like-
and that drive is even better, man. We're
When I walked
more.
into the shop and saw your work, I was like, oh, there's something there, something different.
Yeah,
which
I mean,
is
even
cool.
going from like all of these theme bikes that you build, ones that
Yeah,
look
yeah.
like airplanes and all this other
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. Like now you're like building like a real bike.
Well, me and him
Like,
talked about.
Not
we-
that
we
those
can-
aren't, but
But we can do it
Yeah,
in a
it's-
just
you
more
know what I'm
tasteful
saying?
manner, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
but I think everything. This too shall pass. You know what I mean? And I think if you look at the era of the fat tire bike now, and
yeah,
the
yeah.
Pro Street, it's not the industry standard
It's
anymore.
over,
You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah.
It's the bike you can ride, the the classic bike. You know what I'm saying? That's where the industry is now, which is, for me, that's
Going
what-
back to
Full
where you
circle.
originally
Full
were.
circle.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, there's a lot you can do with a bike, but you don't want to make it look like a garbage pail and not that those other bikes were garbage pails, they were cool, but they had everything that you could possibly think on
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So when you say
But at that
spaceship,
time,
look
it was
Yeah, yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
At that time,
It's
you
really
needed that
what
space.
made
You
us.
need the, you need
Really-
the,
Well, no one else
the
was
fire
doing that
bike
back
and all
then.
that.
Yeah.
You guys were the only ones that were doing that back then. and-
theme bikes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what really made us.
Yeah.
Theme bikes really put us on.
And now
Yeah.
you got those two bikes you got in production.
Yeah, they were cool.
They're
Senior
really
series.
cool. I really love them.
They were a blast, huh?
Yeah,
They were really fun.
Yeah, they doing good out there in the market.
we sold a few.
Yeah, huh?
The problem with us is we're not really a production shop.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Where people come to us not to buy production bikes, they come to buy unique,
Mhm.
one-of-a-kind bikes, so they can say, this is the only
Yes.
one
Yeah,
of this
yeah,
kind.
yeah, yeah.
And that's what I'd rather do.
Yeah,
It's fun, huh?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what.
that's what
yeah.
I'd rather do.
Yeah.
Well, you
it
get-
keeps you creative.
Like
you know?
me, what I enjoy about what I do is that I'm invited into somebody's dream temporarily. Sometimes it's a father and son working on a car. Sometimes I have a car where the wife passed away and he wants to bring the car back. So I get invited into these people's lives, and it's that's what I love about it. You get to do something and you give something, like you said, you're giving, you're not just saying, okay, here's a bike. Here's this bike I made for you, and look at all these little things we took from your ideas and made it great. That's what I love doing with what I do.
It's really rewarding in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, the payoff's awesome when you see someone really light up.
Yeah.
That you
Yeah.
worked really hard on. It's awesome feeling.
Yeah, I've had people cry. I'm like, oh god. Oh, but it's sometimes, and then like I said, sometimes you get people that are just like, okay, cool, and like, oh man, I was looking for more than that, and then you got to shake it out of them, But that's cool.
Yeah.
So, what was the favorite bike you've ever done? Would you
Next
say?
one.
Yeah,
Next
that's
one.
his answer. I asked him that when we were interviewing.
Honestly-
It's like the
honestly-
next one.
Definitely one of my favorites is the last bike that we built, the Vietnam wall bike.
Dude.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why
yeah.
it goes
That
shows.
was
Oh
off the
my
hook.
God.
Dude,
Yeah.
tell the story about what's happening with all
Oh,
those guys
yeah.
living up.
So
Did-
off the hook.
Check this out. This is wild.
So Franny, the guy that did most of
Painted
the
it,
paint
yeah.
on there, and he did
Franny
the
is
murals.
just-
And he
yeah.
took the murals basically off of.
Just pick some images.
Yeah, pick some images.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Well, 3 of the images on that bike were people that called me.
No way.
Dude, Can you
So they're
believe it?
actual people?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
alive
and they're
still with
still
stories.
alive.
No.
About
One
those
wrote a
images.
book.
No
I spoke to him on the
way.
phone. It was amazing.
Oh,
It was
wow.
their story.
You
about
gotta get
their
that
story
on camera.
was
I know.
phenomenal.
That's what I
phenomenal.
wanted to
You gotta invite those guys
Oh
in.
my god! So
And
he
they're
like
coming.
found these
They're
pictures like in a
Veterans Day. They're all
magazine or
coming.
something.
Oh, you got
Yeah,
I'm
so
coming
you know
up
the
after
episode
that,
comes out. This bike starts getting, we're all
Yeah,
blowing it up on
yeah,
social media.
yeah.
And
That's such a great
dude, that's
story,
a god
man.
moment. And
Yeah, yeah,
connected
yeah.
them with that bike and
And in
those
fact,
images.
they're still.
And then reached out.
That's awesome.
You couldn't
You
try
could
to make that.
Yeah, you
up.
could.
Yeah. I mean,
If you had that idea, you could make it
Yeah.
happen, even if you kind of.
and that bike
know?
was a really emotional thing for all of us to be
Yeah.
connected with it. We all had family members that served.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had a story. And when we were doing that bike, it was, that bike will live on forever,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a powerful thing. And that's the first time for me that I got to do, a memorial bike, a tribute
Yeah.
bike. And
Mhm.
it was way more powerful than I ever thought it
That
was.
bike's
gonna
cool,
be.
yeah.
so sweet.
Yeah,
It's
we're
all one
super proud of
piece,
that bike.
right?
All one piece.
Yeah,
that
we
thing is
digger.
so sweet.
Drafted
Yeah.
it all in.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
No, that bike is. Yeah.
And listen, there's people out there that put their lives on the line so we could do silly things like this.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like
well,
I
yeah.
really like I can't tell you. Like we had a shop by West Point, and you would hear these guys' stories, and I was like, man, I respect you guys so much because I'm not built for that.
Takes
Yeah.
a special
Dude, the
human
one
being.
guy that
Totally.
I'm sorry, the one guy that I had a conversation with him on the phone that was in the picture there.
Yeah.
He told his story, and he was on what he said, Hill 181 or something like that. He lost 83 people.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
83 people. So his story was powerful,
Wow.
powerful. And then I just got a book of one of the other guys that were on the bike. He gave me a book that he wrote. I didn't speak to him yet, but
Mm.
Crazy, right?
I had a gentleman that had a Purple Heart or something or some award, and maybe I'm speaking different, but it was the little thing. He had it shrunk down and kept it in his wallet. We were working on his car, and he started talking to me. And he said, "Check this out, check this out, check that." And he starts telling me a story about a bomber he was flying, and they had gotten hit, and they couldn't fly a certain height, and they figured they were going to go bomb the shit out of everything because they knew they were going to die. And then they bombed the shit out of everything. Like they could hit more things than they thought they could ever because they could get low enough
Yeah.
because it was like a suicide mission. And then they said the plane was leaking fuel and people were hurt and shot up. And they said, "Holy shit, we can make it out of here." And then they turned this thing around and they got out and they lived.
Great.
But like I was hearing this story firsthand, and I was
Yeah.
like,
It's insane.
it was just nuts to hear it from someone who lived it, And it's like
Wow.
what people have went through,
Well,
putting
even-
their life on the line.
Even
It's
now
just-
on the EOD bike, those guys' stories.
Wow.
Once again, it's
they're
so
building a bike
powerful.
for EOD Warrior Foundation.
Yeah, yeah.
The guys that go in and sweep all the landmines.
Oh,
before they
that's
do
terrifying.
their
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, that's a whole
I
nother
mean, these
breed.
guys are the guys first in when
Yeah.
they go into somewhere to make sure the platoons and everybody can get in, and so
Yeah.
these guys is on.
That takes like
yeah.
that's a
Balls.
whole
Oh.
other set of balls.
Yeah, no,
Big balls.
In a word.
Big balls.
yeah. What these guys go through is just like once again, I could
Can't
never
imagine.
do that.
Never
dude.
do it. Never
Even
do
to
it.
volunteer for that.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm brave. I could be brave in moments. If there was somebody out there hurt in a
Sure,
car and
sure.
fire,
Sure.
okay, let's go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I
but
couldn't
geez.
sign up to do it.
Yeah.
Like talking, when we
They
did,
love it.
when you
Yeah.
did the thing for
Crazy,
the
yeah.
anxiety and depression.
Mm.
Like I had anxiety, I've had depression, right? And if I had a job like that, I would be a wreck. Like I could keep it together, and I have a pretty easy. Like I'm doing exactly what I want to do in my life,
Yeah.
and everything's kind of going pretty good, and life's kind of like I couldn't imagine if it's like okay 9 in the morning, let's go walk up to something that may explode in your face.
Yeah.
And these guys get in the desert where they're sleeping in the sand for like
Oh,
months.
and what they're
Yeah, with
carrying,
the
the
big
weight,
spiders.
the weights they carry, the
It's insane, man.
That's what I love most about being near the base. We had the Secretary of the Army came by, gave me this pin, and thank you for treating our guys good. And it was like it meant so much to me. But the stories that I heard on a regular basis, it was like I could if I would have stopped and said, "Hold on a second," and wrote down just little tidbits of what I heard, I could have wrote 10 books. And like some of these
Amazing.
things these guys face, and it's like
insane. It's
and then you hear that a friend of mine had talking about losing people. My friend, he was in a group of guys. He actually went to the military late, real good shape, tough kid. He's I'm gonna go to the military. Afterwards he called me. He goes, "Holy shit, did I make a mistake?" But he stayed in it eventually, and he had lost I think 11 people out of like the 14 people in his group in one truck explosion.
Oh,
And like
can you
to
imagine?
me, it's just like so when you talk about balls or the fact that we have this ability to do this. I mean, like in a way, like it's great, but in a way, it's silly, right? You're taking things and making them. I mean, maybe other people appreciate them, and that makes it great. but in the scale of things, you know, like I kind of feel like sometimes I don't deserve the attention that we get. You know what I mean? Because like there's somebody who just, you know, maybe took a kid out of a burning car that doesn't have a magazine article written about him or
No one ever.
no one will ever.
Yeah.
My brother, it's funny. I asked him one time, why does he want to be a cop? Right? It's me stupid thinking you can make more money doing this, doing that. Meanwhile, he was a chief of police. He did pretty good for himself, and he pulled the letter out of the glove box of his car, and it was a lady would send him birthday cards when her kids were every year for their birthday. Send it to him. He went into a burning car and pulled 2 infants out of the car. Like literally cut them out. The car went up as he was leaving, and they wouldn't have made it if he wasn't there. And he showed me that letter, and I was like, oh, okay, well, all right. I guess my life's pretty vain, you know. So, but I mean, I guess, you know, you got to get in where you fit, and you know what you do, what makes you happy, you know.
First of all, you don't have control of where life's going to take you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you might be that person next week that's pulling those kids out of the car.
No,
Reality show. How the fuck did that happen? Am I right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Comment Orange County Choppers. Yeah, I know, it's all bizarre. It's all very bizarre.
Yeah.
I gotta get going.
Yeah, man,
Yes,
it was
sir.
great. It was such an honor. Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much, man.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, man.
Take this with you.
Yeah.